Welcome to All the Things podcast. This segment, we talk about something that is really, really dear to my heart: success. The question was posed to me: what are some of the cautions that someone that is on a trajectory to success should be aware of? First, let me say I'm humbled and I'm honored that somebody would ask me that question, because the interpretation on my end is that you perceive that I'm successful, and so I have an answer. If you watched the previous segment where we talked about this, the Lego moments and the gap and the gain and understanding mana, I have to be real honest with you guys. I have really struggled in the area of seeing myself as successful. There have been so many seasons in my life where I have set goal after goal, or I've had an ideal version of myself in mind, and I'm not there yet. And so other people can applaud and see my successes, and I don't see them. But here's what's interesting. In hearing the applause of the people and in knowing that there are markers that I've met that people would interpret as success, there are spaces that I can lean into and absolutely say that based on the world's perception, I've been successful. My career in education matriculated at a rate unbeknownst to most people. My opportunities in starting a business and in growing a business grew at a rate that didn't make sense to most people. There are people that would call those absolute successes. There are people that know my personal relationship at home. They know my husband. They would look at our marriage and they would call it successful. There are people that would look at my relationship with others and they would call those relationships successful. And so, based on what you might know about me and what you might perceive as my successes, I'm going to do my best to attempt to answer the question that was asked of me. What are some of the cautions, some of the things that you need to be aware of when you reach a degree or a measure of success? The number one thing I would say is not celebrating or recognizing that you've actually met a measure of success. I think successful people oftentimes don't even realize when they've met a mark that is celebratory or considered or deemed successful by others. And because of that, I can only speak for myself. I have often found myself depressed, disgusted with myself, frustrated with my processes, putting a smile on my face most days and still having a winning attitude toward the world. But internally, I'm struggling. Internally, I'm dealing with some things that are really hard. So I would say my answer to that particular question, the number one answer is to, first of all, recognize your own successes. Live in the spaces where you have been successful and be okay with that. That's my number one caution. You are your biggest critic. Successful people are their own worst enemy. The second thing that I would caution are the people that are closest to you. A lot of times what other people see as successful, the people that are in your inner circle see the real you. And so they challenge you in ways that may make you think that your successes actually aren't success at all, because they're going to challenge you against the truth of you. They're going to challenge you against who you are. And in those spaces, again, I want to say celebrate. When you're being challenged by somebody who knows you're dark and dirty, and has a hard time celebrating your successes and your wins because it feels like you're hearing them talk about your dark and dirty, celebrate anyways. Don't forget that your successes are earned. If you've met a mark, if you've set a goal and you've met that goal, then you're worthy of being celebrated. You are enough just where you are, just the way that you are. I challenge you with the Lego activity, like I did before, to go backwards, and in going backwards to measure those marks of success.